Hey everybody, welcome to Love and Relo, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I am super blessed and honored to be here with this amazing woman, Stephanie Ortiz-Minami, Global Mobility Specialist from Seagen. What's up, Stephanie? How you doing?
Hey Ben, thanks so much for having me. I'm glad that we could finally connect.
Yeah, I know, finally. This is so cool. And we have a mutual friend in Gabby. Shout out to Gabby. How do you know Gabby Bachhuber?
We worked at Fiserv together for a couple of years, and we both left a few years ago, but we've remained really close friends.
What was your roles? Because we're going to talk about your career. We're going to talk about kind of like what you were doing then, what you're doing now, what you learned in the process. Please leave your questions as well for Stephanie. Any career questions? Love to talk about those. I'm kind of love to geek out on that kind of stuff. So if you're watching right now, go ahead and check in the comments. Let me know who you are, where you're at, what you're doing. Go ahead and get active in the comments. But when you and Gabby were working together at Pfizer, what were your roles like? How did that delineate all that talent in one room?
Yeah, so Gabby was she has some more experience than I do, and she had been there for a couple of years. And when I came in, I was at the analyst level, so I was a global mobility analyst. And then about a year, and I was promoted to a senior consultant on the global mobility team. So at that point, when we were there together, there were four of us. Three consultants, and a director, and then eventually a manager and a director, and then Gabby and I.
Nice, awesome, very cool. We got people checking in right now on Facebook and LinkedIn. This is great. In fact, Gabby comments. She was the first one to comment, and I don't see her comment. Gabby, if you're watching, comment again so I can put you up here. Gabby's so awesome. Such a great person. Tim Quirk checking in. Hello, Stephanie and Ben, Western New York. Can't wait for today's great show. Awesome, Timmy. Good to see you backstage there. Stacy Huff, super producer Stacy in the house. Hi, Ben and Stephanie. I always say Stacy Huff's like the DJ Khaled of Love and Relo. No, anybody out there? Yo, and shout out to Stacy who just got a promotion recently. Much deserved. Can we get a little digital hand clap for Stacy Huff in the back? Stacy, take a bow. What'd you, Stacy? I'm looking at you. Take a bow. That's all right. No, shout out to Stacy. John Fernandez. What's up, John? Arizona. We got Janet checking in. Hi, good to see Stephanie again. What's up, Janet? Simon Johns from the UK. Awesome. 11 people check in from the UK. We got Alan King coming to us from Germany, drinking tea and chomping on a chocolate bar. Borderline TMI, but I'll allow it, Alan. Thank you. Oh, and speaking of Alan King, can we shout out Stephanie? Are you a wine drinker, Stephanie?
No, I like liquor.
Nice. Like, cut the BS. All right, pour me something stiff. All right, no, and I respect that also. I got my little whiskey as well. But no, we're doing our 8 weeks of giving, Stephanie. Did you know we're doing 8 weeks of giving? We're giving away wine on the show.
Yeah, I saw Tanya. She just won.
Yeah, we're giving away not one but two bottles every week. Alan King won one. So yeah, so if you're watching right now, go check out where is it at? Never get it right. Check out loveandrelo.com/community. Sponsored by the good people of First Tech Federal Credit Union. They do expat finance, so they help expats get credit cards and car loans and banking accounts and all that good stuff, checking accounts. When people come over from other countries, they have no credit when they get here. So First Tech Federal Credit Union helps those expats out. But they also help us out because they're giving away free wine. So go register over there at loveandrelo.com/community. And we're giving away 2 bottles on Friday. Pretty sweet, right, Stephanie?
Yeah.
You ever put your information on the internet just randomly and hope to win something?
All the time. Makeup giveaways.
Nice. Nice. Beth McSkimming, hi there, checking in from the Windy City, Chi-Town in the house. Stephanie, where are you? It's your okay, so tell us about it. You're from Chicago?
I'm from Chicago. I'm from the city. I get sensitive about that. I'm not a suburbanite.
Don't come in here with Naperville and Buffalo Grove and all that nonsense.
I'm in Greater Milwaukee now, so I'm a suburbanite now, but I didn't grow up one. Yeah, so I'm from the Southwest side, Marquette Park.
Okay, I see you.
Yeah.
So where are you now? Like where? Tell us where you're at now.
So about, well, it's coming up on 6 years. My then fiance, who's now my husband, we moved to Milwaukee. He's originally from Milwaukee, and I have my dad's here. My stepmom and my sister live about 45 minutes north of us, and my husband's family was here, so it made sense for us to come here, and I was able to get an opportunity at Fiserv, and that was when I was able to move in-house from being an immigration paralegal. So it all worked out, and we've been here the last 6 years, and we have a home, and we're happy. We got a puppy last year, so everything's been going well for us here.
This is awesome. So we got a couple Chicago lovers in the house. Cliff Bierman, love Chicago. Gabby, go Chicago, love it. Gabby, you might have to go to Chicago to find a house to buy. Yes. Gabby's trials and tribulations over at the housing market. Did you experience something? You said you just bought a house near Milwaukee. Did you experience that crazy housing market up there?
Oh, we got our house in 2017. So no, we didn't. Fortunately, we didn't experience that. But yeah, I know Gabby's pains. I think it's happening throughout the country. I know it's affecting our employees that are relocating to the Seattle area and South San Francisco. So it's kind of tough all around.
Do you see employees like willingness to relocate um, going down due to, I mean, I know there's a lot of factors right now, but the cost of housing in some of these areas?
Yeah, there's definitely a shift, and there's a concern from employees, especially in the Seattle area, where it's been competitive for a while, and the competitiveness is just increasing. We've heard stories about employees that are bidding $300,000 over asking and still losing. So, it's something
What
that
market is that in? 300 grand over ask.
is Seattle.
It wasn't in Detroit. I tell you what. Okay, Seattle. All right.
Well, I think it's more at the executive level when they're bidding that high. But
What's that supposed to mean, Stephanie? I'm not an executive.
at the executive level in Seattle. So yeah, I think it's something that we're looking at to address. Well, we're working with our vendor to see what's the best strategy, how we can remain competitive with other biotechs and support our employees that we do need on site.
Any tips for the corporate folks out there, the RMCs out there, as far as like strategies to help be more competitive?
Well, I think what we want to address with our employees with our back to office plan is the possibility of moving in waves rather than having just like a big rush and everybody moving at once, because that's going to create situations where Seagen employees are bidding against each other for houses, or they're competing against each other for even apartments. So that's to come in our rollout for our back to office plan.
I was gonna say, yeah, because it's and it used to be, unless you were planning a group move, you didn't necessarily worry about your own employees driving up the cost of housing in a market, right? But to your point with the back to work plan, and I don't even know how many relocations you guys have paused right now, but it could
Uh,
potentially be a wave.
yeah, some employees have decided to relocate during the pandemic, but I think about 90% are kind of waiting to see what the back to office plan is and just coordinating that, and their health and safety for our employees and their families has been our primary concern. So we'll see a big rush eventually when the back to office plan rolls out. But we have a really fantastic RMC for the US that we work with, that's been guiding us through this. So I I feel fairly confident that we'll be able to do it successfully.
Yeah, that's awesome. We got a ton of people checking in here. A lot of people on LinkedIn. Hey, everybody, hit that like button. Let everybody know we're on here. We got Stephanie Ortiz-Minami from Seagen with us. We got a ton of people checking in. This is so cool. My realtor's checking in. Hi from Michigan. What up, Tina? Hope you're doing well. Tina's the bomb. Gabby, hi, Stephanie. Can't wait for this great discussion. Checking in from Milwaukee. Gabby, did you find the house? What'd you end up doing? Let me know. like getting all up in your business. That's what we do here on Love and Real. We get all up in people's business. Valerie McKenzie, Deluxe checking in from H-Town. All right. Let's see what's up here. Francine Dresty. We saw Francine on Clubhouse earlier, didn't we, Stephanie?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about, I think we should try, if we have time at the end, we should talk about Clubhouse a little bit. What do you think, Stephanie?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Cool. Let's see here. Sandra says, Alan King, I see your tea and chocolate bar and raise you a package of double stuffed golden Oreos. Wow, high stakes. High stakes. EDC in the house. What's up, Sandra? Good to see you. Everybody's loving Chicago. But we do have a question here. Big question here. Sox fan?
No.
Sox fan?
No, I'm a Cubs fan.
Cubbies.
When my dad first moved to the U.S.,
I thought y'all were Sox. I thought y'all were Chicago White Sox.
They are. So I'm supposed to be a Sox fan, but when my dad first came to the U.S., he lived on the north side and became a Cubs fan. So he raised all of us as Cubs fans.
Okay. All right. Hey, I ain't mad at it. I mean, I grew up in New York as a Cowboys fan. I mean, stuff happens, right?
Well, I mean, I have to admit now that I've been in Milwaukee so long, I've converted to a Brewers fan, but that's mostly because my husband's grandma was such an avid Brewers fan. But I'll never be a Packers fan. I have to make that clear.
No, why would you? Forget it.
I love my dad. I don't want to be disowned, so I can't ever be a Packers fan.
I love it. Sports is so familial. My grandma, actually, she's the reason I became a Cowboys fan. I used to sit on my Grammy's lap and watch Herschel Walker and the Dallas Cowboys in the 80s. And that's how I became a Cowboys fan ever since. So very cool. Let's see. People are shouting out the city. What are you seeing here? Just out of curiosity, you lived in the city. You lived in the suburbs. I'm going to pretend we're about the same age, so we have similar, generational viewpoints. I've come to grips with the fact I'm becoming no longer the youngest person in the room. So that's my problem, not yours. But question, what do you see about this shift to the suburbs versus the city? Millennials are supposed to be, we're out there in the, I say we, like I slipped in it. We're out there in the city. We like to be in the city. We like to be in the mix. Now, are we going to the suburbs? Do you think that that's changing? What are your thoughts on shifts like that?
Well, specifically for Chicago, I mean, last time before my husband and I moved to Milwaukee, we were living on the north side, and it was super fun. We lived in a really walkable area. We lived in Lakeview, which is a really fun, trendy neighborhood in Chicago. And I loved it. I would move back to an area like that in a heartbeat. Being in the suburbs now, outside of Milwaukee, we need a car for everything. And when we were in Chicago, we had a Walgreens that, like, at the corner of our block. We had our favorite bar restaurant was across the street from us. They knew us. They knew our orders. So I miss things like that. But I think it's such a difference being in the suburbs of Milwaukee as opposed to the suburbs of Chicago, where a lot of my family lives now. I think it's just kind of, things are a little bit more convenient when you're in the suburbs because you can take a car places. Traffic is a little bit better in Chicago in the suburbs. And
traffic's better in the Chicago suburbs than the Milwaukee suburbs?
Well, just like Chicago City to Chicago suburbs. The suburbs are a little bit better with traffic. But in Milwaukee, I think everything's easier in Milwaukee. You can get to any part of town within 25 minutes. Traffic is not that bad. I mean, what we think is bad traffic is kind of an easy day in Chicago. So
I love it for sure. Let's see here. John Fernandez has a question, actually. What's up, John? John says, how has your company addressed or will address the corporate housing effect of a low inventory real estate location? We are seeing auto extensions of 30, 60, 90 days for key markets.
Yeah, we're not doing auto extensions. I think we're addressing them on a case-by-case basis. And where possible, we're counseling employees to what the policy is. And for anything really that's out of scope, they get a miscellaneous expense allowance, and that's what we're referring them to use. So I think things may, when things kind of heat up when most companies are going back to the office, we'll address those kind of specific issues there.
Now, is John, and I'm trying to understand John's question here. Is he asking about because inventory is low for houses, for owning a home, for buying a home, he's seeing corporate housing benefits extended 30, 60, 90 days? Or is that what he's saying, or is he saying something else?
I thought he was saying like temp housing, extending auto extensions of temp housing for 30, 60, 90 days. I mean, you know, most, I think kind of industry standard, at least for biotech, is 60 to 90 days of temp housing. And it's challenging just in a kind of a normal market to be able to find a home, go through escrow and close on it within that time frame. So it is a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. John clarified. Yes, that's what he's talking about. Great question, John. Keep those questions coming. Love to hear these reload questions because we're going to definitely get into some personal stuff as well. Enrique says, my friend is a rock star. Go Steph.
Thanks for joining, Enrique.
Isn't it fun when like your friends pop on and you're like, hey, all right, cool. Sandra Clary, your Zoom corner has come together well, Ben. Where's the chapeau for the gent in the background? Yeah, he's chilling. You know, I did some work over here over the weekend. I got, you know, hey, we're working on it. It's coming together. It's not Stephanie's though. Stephanie's got like a whole sideboard and everything going on back there. All right, so I want to hear. Okay, we talked a lot about stuff, and you've kind of indulged my curiosity with some stuff. But I want to go back and I want to kind of hear your story, right? I'm always fascinated by the stories of younger professionals in global mobility.
I'm not that young though.
I did. Well, we're gonna pretend that we're both young professionals. I'm okay. A YP40. I'm assuming you're a YP40. Is that fair?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So we're both young professionals under 40, as defined by Worldwide ERC. But no, what was your experience? Can you give me like your career arc? And I just want to understand how you got into the business and like how you kind of grew in it, if that's fair.
Yeah, so I went to the University of Wisconsin-Madison. While I was there, I majored in legal studies and sociology, and I kind of had anticipated that I would want to go to law school, but I just decided I didn't want to go to law school, and you know, I kind of had to figure out my career from there. And I had a couple of not so glamorous jobs after college, but I think it taught me tenacity and work ethic.
Worst job you ever had? I'm curious. What was the worst job you ever had?
I think the worst job was probably my second job out of college. I think I was working for a very small company in St. Louis, just kind of like Jane of all trades office person. And it was a pretty bad culture. There was a lot of racism. There was a lot of sexism. And I heard words there that I had never heard used in any other environment. So
that's terrible.
So I mean, it was tough, but it helped me get thicker skin, and it helped me really prompt me to work harder to find a real career path. And in 2012, I was able to get a job as an immigration paralegal at a small firm in downtown Chicago. So I moved back home to Chicago. I was happy to be there.
Stephanie, I'm sorry. I want to ask you another question on this, right? Because I think that first job in your career, I'm always curious how do people get that first job in that career? How did you get that job as a paralegal in the immigration firm?
I think it's really back before LinkedIn, before like Glassdoor, maybe Monster was around at that time, but I actually found a legal recruiter on Craigslist and submitted my resume to her.
Real jobs on Craigslist? What?
Yeah. So 2012, it was a long time ago. So I submitted my resume. She called me, we talked. She had me come to Chicago to meet with the firm, and yeah, they gave me a shot. And I knew nothing. I mean, I majored in legal studies. I don't think that particularly helped me to get the job. It certainly didn't teach me anything about U.S. immigration law, but they gave me a shot, and I worked under a really tough but brilliant attorney and her senior paralegal, and they taught me basically everything that I needed to know about U.S. immigration within about, I mean, not everything, not everything, not like expert attorney level, but as a paralegal, they taught me just about everything I needed to know within a year. And that enabled me to move to different firms, to get broader experience, work with a more diverse client base. And all of that experience enabled me to get the job at Fiserv as my first in-house job.
Wow. That's so cool. This is great. I love these stories. I hear that your first job is kind of important, but more important is your first boss sometimes. Because your first, that boss is going to be the one that really like kind of kicks your butt and kind of sets the bar and kind of like gives you the push and the work ethic and all the habits. I remember I had a boss that was super hard on me, Christine Pierce, and she intimidated the crap out of me. She was like the senior executive from Delta, and she would just have these like eyes that would just like, she would just could stare at you and you'd burn a hole through you. And she had this saying, feedback is a gift. And if you heard that, that meant your butt, because that meant you really royally screwed up something. And she was about to tell you how feedback is a gift and you need to take it with a smile. And yeah, it's crazy. Gabby saying you're my career hero. Love this story.
Yeah, when I got to my first firm in Chicago, I don't know if this rumor was true or not, but another paralegal told me that the attorney I was assigned to had gone through a dozen paralegals in a year. So I was a little bit intimidated, and sometimes she kicked my butt, but she, again, helped me develop, helped me to get thicker skin, and taught me really well. So, if I ever made a mistake, sometimes she'd come down hard on me, but I never made that mistake again, and she helped me understand why it was a mistake. So I still think back to that time, and I'm appreciative of that experience.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Matt says Stephanie is the best, always stepping up and volunteering her experience for panels too.
Thanks, Matt.
Awesome. I'm going to be on a panel with Matt tomorrow, I think. Francine Dresty, oh my God, St. Louis, that is horrible. I currently live in St. Louis. I'm so glad you're in a place where you are flourishing and happy.
Oh, thank you. I still like the city. My husband and I were just talking about going back. So to hit up our favorite restaurants.
On the hill? Is that where you go? Where you go?
Oh yeah, there were some Italian restaurants that we loved on the hill. But my husband Matt loves barbecue. So we're talking about some barbecue places to go and take our puppy. And they have a beautiful park there called Forest Park. It's huge. And we were saying that, Sammy, our puppy, could have some fun and take some good walks there.
Oh my gosh. Oh man, traveling for barbecue. Those are the days. I can't wait. I can't wait to get back there.
We haven't been, traveling was a pretty significant part of our lives. And we have not gone anywhere since December 2019, like, most people. So we thought, that if we could play it safe, stay at an Airbnb, drive, double mask, that maybe we could leave Milwaukee for a little bit.
Black it out of here. So Elizabeth says tenacity is one of the most important personality characteristics. Good for you for learning it early. Yeah.
Thanks,
have you ever heard of a book called Grit by Angela Duckworth?
Yes. Yeah. When I was at Fiserv, we had for a couple of years, I had the opportunity to go to an all HR meeting at their hub just outside of Atlanta in Alpharetta, Georgia. And Angela Duckworth was one of the speakers, and I got a copy of her book, and she was fantastic to see. And my little sister just started at the University of Wisconsin last fall, and that I gave her that book. So
that is so cool. So hold on a second. I haven't hung these yet, but I actually wrote this is back when like you would like write articles for Mobility magazine. So I wrote like a book report on
Awesome.
grit. I gotta get my office together over here. But that's awesome. Yeah, because when you tell your story, that's what I hear is like you learned grit and grittiness, and like that's always a predictor of success. We have people coming in here. Elizabeth says, "I love grit, great book," and we're going to talk about kind of your story and continue that career path story. Alyssa, best sister in the world. Hi, Steph, still reading it. That's great. That's fantastic. And then this guy sneaks in over here. Matthew, my wife is amazing. That's great. Fantastic. All right. Keep the questions in the comments coming. I love these comments. This is such a fun conversation. It's like when I'm talking to you, I feel like I'm just talking to like a friend. This is really cool. So you got to Pfizer, and then what happened?
I developed. I mean, we had a great team, great leadership, a great culture, and I think that was really my first experience with a solid culture. And it was a good place to thrive. I mean, I did. I was able to expand my knowledge just from U.S. immigration to some domestic relocation, and then to expat assignments. I mean, mostly it was a pipeline from India to the U.S., so it was a little limited in that capacity. But I think the biggest skill that I learned there was vendor management. And
How so?
it was just so different being on the in-house side when for years prior to that, had been on the provider side. And I worked for different firms in Chicago that I really feel had a strong client services aspect. I mean, client services was the number one most important part of the job as a paralegal. Clients weren't depending on me for my immigration expertise. That's what the attorneys were for. But it was on the kind of service that I delivered. And when I got to Fiserv, they had an established relationship with a well-known law firm that had some missteps in the relationship. And I think, working with the team there together, we were able to transform that relationship and in a pretty significant way that, at that time saved the vendor relationship. I don't know if that's still their vendor, but it was a significant turnaround when I started working there and working with the team to kind of transform how the service level that we were being provided and how we were serving our internal clients as well.
That's so cool because as a person who's only been on the supplier side in the past, it's nice to hear a corporate person in your role talk about salvaging that relationship and the value of that. Because I think sometimes as suppliers, when we have a mistake, we're so afraid to screw up because we feel like it's going to be the end, right? And so then a lot of times what happens is like this like weird behavior kind of creeps in where you're trying to like hide the mistakes, and then you're not communicating, and then you're kind of padding the survey scores, and there's some gamesmanship on the customer satisfaction side, and then there's some inducements. I mean, it turns into a whole like cycle of bad behavior when you just can't have an open conversation. But it's a lot of times because the stakes are so high for failure.
Well, I think to give a little bit more color to that, vendors, providers have to remember that going out to RFP is time consuming. It's not fun. It's not fun to sit through, read proposals, sit through presentations. It is not fun to go through contracting because that can be a pretty lengthy process with the legal team. It's not fun to do the transition when you're switching vendors. I mean, it's difficult and it's time consuming, and it sometimes takes a little while to see the value add of going through that process. So I think from a client side, the preference is always to try to salvage the relationship if it's possible. And if the provider or the vendor is willing to put the work in, that's always easier, more efficient, from a time and cost perspective than having to go out and source another vendor.
Yeah, makes sense. Speaking of missteps and career development and personal development, did you ever have a time where you had like a misstep where it was like, oh crap, kind of moment? I mean, I love oh
Yeah.
crap moments because like I feel like I learned so much from those.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So as I touched base on when I was at Fiserv, it was really my first experience with a solid culture. And eventually I wanted more. I wanted more responsibility. I wanted a more variety of work than kind of was the traditional GM work that the team performed. And I didn't look for a new opportunity, but a recruiter came to me with an opportunity to go to another company. And I thought, oh, this is going to be great. I was going to be a remote employee, and they dangled travel, like international travel, in front of me. And so I really built it up and thought that it was going to be something that it really turned out that it wasn't. And I kind of saw some of the red flags during recruitment, but I decided to go for it anyway. And it was a really difficult time. Career-wise, it affected my personal life. I was not happy. And thankfully, I was only there for 7 months, but I was able to, again, learn a lot, developed more grit, more tenacity, really took that as a significant learning experience for my career and understanding where I wanted to go next, how I wanted to develop the kind of culture that I wanted to be in. And I was able to secure another opportunity with a local company here in Wisconsin, Johnson Controls. And I know you've interviewed Jody Harris before, and she's the manager. Yeah, she's the manager of that global mobility program. And I was able to go there and work with Jody. And being at Johnson Controls was a really significant part of my career, and it helped me rebound from that misstep at the previous company. And everything that I kind of learned at Johnson Controls and under Jody enabled me to be able to secure this opportunity now at Seagen and be able to manage their global mobility program.
So when you left Fiserv, you were just like, okay, I'm looking for the next opportunity, like everybody does, right? Okay, more money, more pay, more travel, more whatever, resume building, whatever. I'm putting words in your mouth. I'm just assuming these are the things that people look at, right? But
Yeah.
but you said you overlooked some red flags, for people that are watching right now, because there's a lot of people that are contemplating job changes. There's a lot of people that are out of work. They're looking for the next thing. Maybe they're feeling even desperate, so they're willing to like hop on something. But I think the red flags thing you brought up is so key. What are some of those red flags maybe that you shouldn't ignore when you're thinking about making a change?
Well, I think, not that like looking at different companies or career opportunities can like be Yelped, but Glassdoor reviews, they exist, right? And you always have to kind of look at those reviews, positive and negative, and take them with a grain of salt, because typically the only employees that are posting are either very, very happy or very, very unhappy. But when the reviews are skewed to one side, maybe you should believe it.
Oh, when they're like across the board one way, like just one way,
Yeah.
like they don't go both ways. Just...
Mm-hmm. And then, you got to look at the substance of what the reviews are. If, there's a bunch of negative reviews, but they just say this is a bad place to work with no substance or details behind that, then you kind of can question that. But if there's lengthier reviews that are citing specific things, then maybe, you should understand that perhaps this is not the best culture, it's not the best work environment, and it's not really going to provide a development that maybe you're seeking.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. One of the red flags that I look at is the ownership structure. Who owns it? Is it an individual entrepreneur? Are they, younger and newer to the business, which is also kind of a red flag for me, or have they been doing it for a long time? is it a family thing? And then I'm not going to be necessarily able to move up in the company because I'm not part of the family if it's a small business. Or if it's a large business, is it owned by an investment firm? Sometimes those are sticky situations when things are owned by investment firms and they're always looking for the next quarter to be better and the next quarter to be better and the next quarter to be better. And eventually, like you can't always have a quarter that beats, every quarter can't be a record quarter, and then what happens, then, right? And so some of those situations get kind of toxic as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts out there if you're watching.
Oh, really
comments as well. Yeah, go ahead, Stephanie.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. You should look at the leadership and kind of the longevity of the leadership there. If there's high turnover at the executive level, that might be another red flag. Like that's one that I ignored. So you should really, kind of look at that, because if the right person is kind of studying the ship, guiding the ship, then that means more stability for the company overall.
Yeah, for sure. Great points. Heidi says here's a great tip when deciding whether or not to join a company. Reach out to past employees at the company and ask them why they left. Use LinkedIn to find past employees. Yeah, especially if they're in the same job function, right? Because sometimes you see, oh, well, the accountant didn't like it. Well, it's like, well, yeah, but I'm not an accountant. I'm a sales guy, or I'm a gold mobility girl, or whatever. It's like, reaching out to somebody that was in that role that no longer is there will tell you what the boss is like in that specific role. What's the culture like in that org? The HR org might have a different culture than the sales org, which might have a different culture than the ops org. So, yeah. Interesting. Valerie says, love Jody, so knowledgeable. Kim says, don't you agree that sometimes you learn more from uncomfortable situations? Those are the areas when we grow the most.
I definitely agree. Yeah. I think the last kind of like 18 months before I joined Seagen was probably the most significant professional and personal growth that I've experienced as an adult.
Yeah, I agree. You learn a lot if it doesn't, because then there's some though you have to just say, I'm out. I'm like, this isn't. I'm not going to go down with this ship. You know what I mean? It's like I can stick around because I'm learning, or it's like this is toxic. How do you know the difference between a situation is just tough that you need to push through, and one where you need to kind of cut bait and go the other direction?
I think it's your gut. Like if the feelings of kind of unhappiness or anxiety are trailing through, like weaving themselves through your personal life, and kind of, if it's after hours and it's on the weekend, if you're getting like really bad Sunday scaries, then it's probably more a toxic place rather than just like a tough place that you need to power through.
Sunday scaries. I've never heard that before, and I love it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh shit, it's like 6 o'clock on a Sunday. You're like, oh geez, really? Like, really? I just got done with the last week. Like, are you good? That's awesome. Kim saying, studying great leadership and strong culture, keys to success. Congratulations on finding your perfect spot now. Mobility is lucky to have you in the industry. I want to flash forward. I'm sorry. Yeah, go on.
Oh, just thank you. That's a kind comment.
Yeah, no, it was really nice, Kim. I want to flash forward though to where you're at now at Seagen, right? So now you've kind of moved through and gotten all this great experience at all these great, at Fiserv, at Johnson Controls, and all these great companies. Worked with some really, some great leaders as you were mentioning before, and now you're at Seagen. Like, why don't you talk a little bit about like what you're doing today?
Yeah, being at Seagen, it's exciting every day. We are growing so quickly in the U.S. We're expanding our European footprint. In the role now as global mobility specialist for the company. It's a brand new role that they created last year when I was hired, and I'm just working now to build out the function. And there were bits and pieces of the function that were being administrated by various people within the company, who all had pretty significant day jobs. So this was just kind of like a side responsibility that they were doing, and we didn't really have any procedures to kind of go through the administration of the Global Mobility Program. We had some basic policies in place for relocation, nothing really surrounding an immigration policy. So over these last, it's I think I'm almost at 6 months. I am at 6 months. It's going by quickly in a good way. Just working to build out the program, working with our vendors. Thankfully we have a really strong vendor network for the US, and our immigration team is fantastic. Our US relocation team is fantastic. We're engaging a new vendor for we call it ex-US, so everything outside of the US. We're engaging a new immigration provider, which I'm really excited about. I think it's going to be a fantastic partnership. And we've worked through building out our international relocation program, and I've worked really closely with the vendor since I've been here to develop that program to really up the service level. There was a significant change in our client services team that I worked with, which has been really positive, and it has really put us in a better light with the European stakeholders. So it's incremental progress. Like every day we're doing something, we're meeting new challenges, we're fixing something, we're revising something, but it's all really good, exciting stuff.
You talked about I love hearing about this, and thanks for being so open about it too. This really gives us a great glimpse of what it's like to go into a new program, or maybe even a non-existent program, and really build something. So thank you for that glimpse. You mentioned European stakeholders, and I've heard about this with global mobility professionals that manage, multi-regional programs and have, European stakeholders or Asian stakeholders, or, fill in the blank. And it can be hard, and it can be really hard for them. And I guess I would ask you, as someone that's doing that now, what advice would you give to people that have stakeholders in other regions? How do you get them on board?
I think one of the most critical pieces of just administrating our relocation program in Europe was to make sure that we had the right vendor team. So, some of the changes that I made were to make sure that we had a vendor contact that was in a European time zone, to be able to be responsive to our stakeholders. And, kind of the internal client base that we're working with right now in Europe and for relocation are fairly high level employees. So I think there were higher stakes there, higher expectations of the kind of service that we would provide. So I think the number one thing that I saw that was beneficial was being transparent and being super responsive and working on their time zone. So it meant some earlier mornings for me to be able to accommodate the European stakeholders' schedules and their time zone. It meant that their emails get flagged, so I respond to them pretty much within minutes. And it's the transparency of setting regular cadences for meetings, and really being accountable and being accountable really to myself, and making sure that I'm following through on the promises that I made. And it was just really, a significant focus over these last 6 months to make sure that our European relocation program was functioning at an optimal level.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's awesome. I mean, hats off to you for that. I can only imagine how difficult it is to manage, all the different personalities and the different cultures and the different time zones, and it just seems like a lot. Seems like a lot. Let's see here. People are commenting here. People talking about the Sunday scaries. They call them the Smondays. Poor Cliff said I had a boss that commented on how I dress so often that I would stand frozen in my closet each morning before getting dressed. I quit with no new job just for my sanity. Gee whiz. Drew Phillips says collar stays. You need collar stays, Cliff. That's funny. I forgot my collar stays today too. I thought he was talking to me. Gracious. Goodness gracious. That's awesome. I actually I wanted to go into your top 5.
Okay.
If we could, okay. You like games, Stephanie? You like playing games?
Yes.
You
Yeah.
seem like you okay. You like games. Yeah. Everybody likes games, right? Everybody likes games. All right. So Stephanie, you created a top 5 for us, and I really like it. I really like it. So, what is your top 5 today?
So I went to the University of Wisconsin, UW in Madison. So UW Madison, and UW is a pretty significant part of my life. It remains a pretty significant part of my family's life. My older brother went to law school there. Our little sister is a freshman there now. So yeah, so my top 5 is about UW.
I love it. I love it. I am super passionate about my college as well. SUNY Albany. My wife went to SUNY Albany also. Her dad, her 2 of her sisters did. So huge fan. Huge fan of this topic. This is awesome. All right, let's oh Mike Felia says love a good top 5. All right, Mike, you let us know how we're doing here. All right, number 5.
Wandos. Yeah,
What is Wandos?
It's one of the most funnest bars. Yeah, funnest bars in Madison. They have these giant fish bowls that they fill with liquor, and you could get whatever color you want, like pink, purple, blue.
I like how it's a color fishbowl or color drink. You drink?
Oh, they color the drink. Yeah, so I mean, this was like pre-COVID. You know, they put 20 straws in. You drink with your friends. Yeah, it's fun. I'm waiting till my sister's 21, and then we'll be going there together.
I love it. It's like quarter waters. Back when we were growing up in the bodega, you go get quarter waters, and it's like, what flavor quarter water you want? I want blue. I want purple. I want orange. Like, you don't even know. It's not a fruit. It's just color blue. I want blue. Oh, so Wando's at the fish bowls. That's awesome. Does anybody know what's actually in the fish bowl, or does it even matter?
I don't think it matters. I think it's just, they make it taste fruity or whatever coloring they put in somehow. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Wando's with the fish. Okay, last question about the fish bowl. Was there any, so when I go to Brother Jimmy's on the Upper East Side in Manhattan, they do the fish bowls. They were Alabama Slammers, and they throw an alligator in there too. Was there any other random debris floating around in the fish bowl?
I think maybe they put Swedish fish in there. I think.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Nice. Yes, they did. People are already getting excited about it. Cliff saying, ERC at UW, please. That's awesome. You know what, though? If ERC's in Chicago, I feel like we could just jaunt up to Madison. We get like a bus, maybe. Be sweet.
Yeah, I mean, it's about 2.5 hours. Not bad.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, nothing. Cliff, you're driving. All right. Number 4.
Friends, yeah. My closest friends, some of my closest friends went to UW Madison, and I miss them. But yeah, I mean, they're a pretty significant part of our lives as well. My husband's best man in our wedding went to UW. And I mean, I'm obviously friends with him too. Some of my closest friends just
Imagine
went.
you weren't friends with him. You're like, yeah,
Well, his wife is also one of my closest friends. She didn't go to UW, but she was our maid of honor. Yeah. So they're like our.
Do you still keep in touch with a lot of your friends from college? Like, that's something I kind of wish I did more of, honestly.
Well, I think my circle of friends is pretty tight and small, but one of my best friends went to UW, and I talk to him every week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's
he's
awesome.
watching. I don't know.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, if you're friends with Stephanie in real life, please leave in the comments. We got people are doing research on this over here. Let's see here. MOH here.
That's Cynthia, yeah.
What does MOH mean?
Maid of honor.
Maid of honor. Thank you. Okay. What up, Cynthia? Let's see here. Tim's doing research. Wando's free bacon on Tuesdays.
I never really ate there, so.
Yeah, I mean, it does not sound like the place you go for brunch with the family when they're in town. Like, hey, let's go down to Wando's. It's free bacon on Tuesdays. Plus, like, who goes to a place with free bacon? I've never even heard of this promotion, free bacon. Like, what am I getting with my bacon? Is it like a fish bowl and I get free bacon with the fish bowl?
Well, I mean, Wisconsin and Bloody Mary, so maybe it's a Bloody Mary special with free bacon.
Oh, Tim, we need more information on this, if you don't mind. Could you get to the bottom of what goes with the bacon? Alan King's ready to get a flight from Germany and break the COVID bubble for the bacon. Cliff Bierman's volunteering to drive all the way from Chicago to Madison. If I buy the drinks, I'm down. I'm down from that. Cynthia's proud of you, Steffi. Love it.
Thanks, Cynthia.
Love it. All right, number 3.
Campus. UW has a beautiful campus. It's beautiful. It's large. It sits between 2 lakes, Lake Mendota and Lake Monona, and it's just gorgeous. I mean, you have outside of our Memorial Union in the back, you have a huge seating area that's so much fun. And you can get pitchers of beer, you can get drinks. Students go there, families go there. There's ice cream, there's food, snacks, and nothing is better in spring, summer, fall than sitting out on the terrace and doing homework or just hanging out with friends.
You said spring, summer, and fall, but you left the season.
Winter in Wisconsin isn't so fun.
How long does winter last at the campus of University of Wisconsin?
Oh, well, one year, this must have been my junior year. I didn't go anywhere for spring break, and I just went home, and I was like, okay, I can take home my winter clothes. And I lived either in winter boots or flip-flops when I was at Madison. I didn't have an in between. And I was like, okay, I'm just coming back with flip-flops. And I came back from spring break and it snowed. So I was walking to class in my flip-flops. I saw other girls doing it too, so I didn't feel so bad. But
you took all of your spring break is in March or April. You took all of your winter clothes home?
Yeah, I felt I was safe doing that.
I'll tell you what, my freshman year at Albany, upstate New York, my freshman year at Albany, May 15, let's say, whatever moving out day was, it snowed.
Yeah.
So I feel
moving
like
on. Alyssa,
oh,
make sure you have all of your winter boots still. I can send you some if you send any home. So
I don't know if she froze. I don't know if I froze. Anyway, all right. So campus is gorgeous. Okay. 3 months a year, which is 6 months, or three seasons of the year, which is 6 months. All right. Number 2. Let's do number 2.
Badger sports. Yes. Yeah. My husband and I are huge Badger football fans. In fact, we had some of our engagement photos done at Camp Randall, the football stadium. And I even had custom jerseys made for us that had saved a date. And let me see, which way is there? Boop, there's one of our engagement photos back there. But yeah, it was football themed. I should have brought it over.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, but nice. we love Badger football. We love traveling to see the Badgers play. I think we've been married for 4.5 years. For our 2nd wedding anniversary, we went out to the University of Iowa and watched the Badgers play there. And it was a super exciting game. But yeah, that's what we went to Iowa for our anniversary. But yeah, we love Badger football. We love Badger basketball. I think my husband's a bigger basketball fan than I am. I prefer football, but yeah, we're excited for this season, see what we can do.
I love that Badger basketball team that was making a run a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They were awesome. They were really awesome. Who's your favorite? I'm gonna put you on the spot. Who's your favorite Wisconsin Badger football player?
JJ Watt. Wait. Russell Wilson? I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know.
Yeah, but see, he was a North Carolina State guy first, wasn't
he? Yeah, so he came to us for the last year.
There's so many good ones. There's so many really good ones. Mike Falia says, "Go Badgers." Did Stephanie ever attend the football games in the student section and jump up at the end of the 3rd quarter? Love that tradition.
No, I didn't go to football games while I was there, and that is my biggest Madison regret. Yeah. What? I just my friend group wasn't most of my girlfriends weren't into it, so I didn't go. And I should have gone with my husband, but he always he would always buy his tickets and then sell them at a profit. You know, he was fiscally responsible, made some smart moves. So no, I never went to a game while I was there, and that's such a huge regret.
Wow. Wow, you had it right there too. Yeah, it's like my brother and sister. They went to OU, and I feel like they won national championships. I feel like Kyler Murray was. I mean, they had some amazing teams. Baker Mayfield, and they never went to any games. They never went to any games. Yeah, I hear you. Let's see, Mike Foley. What?
I've made up for it. We've made up for it in the year since we've graduated. So it is.
All right, Mike's putting you on the spot. He wants a top 5 Badger football players.
Okay.
So we got J.J. Watt, we got Russell Wilson,
Melvin Gordon.
Oh yeah, great one.
Yeah.
Great one.
Um.
I'm gonna go. Can I go? Can I do one? I'm gonna do one.
Yeah.
Ron Dane. Ron Dane was a Heisman. I don't think he won, but he was a Heisman candidate. He was a heck of a running back. Did he win? He might have won.
Yeah.
He was skilled. And then was there? What about was T.J. Watt a Badger?
He was, yeah. TJ and Derek, all the Watt brothers, they all went to UW.
What?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I follow them on social media. They still come home to Pewaukee, which is just like 25 minutes from me.
Yeah, Pewaukee. Shout out to my WHR group peoples out there. Elizabeth President, my dad used to make the funniest Bucky the Badger face. He has buck teeth, so it was classic. I need a picture now. I can't just take your word for it. I'm sorry. I need a picture here. Oh my gosh. Frank Kaminsky from Lisle, Illinois. My daughter's a huge women's volleyball fan. We've seen many games. Camp Randall's a bucket list.
Oh, it's so much fun. And it's just such a beautiful stadium too. It's so much fun. Student section goes crazy. Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, you know what? You could have phoned a friend. Badger hockey's legit. So okay, so you got to phone a friend. You got to phone a friend, Stephanie. Somebody came to your rescue. And by the way, Mike Filia says Ron Dane won the Heisman event. Thank you, Mike. I'm over here. I'm doing this off the top. Okay, Mike. All right. I'm doing my best. Hey, you got to phone a friend.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah.
Joe Thomas.
Mm-hmm. Center on the Browns. He
Great
retired
center.
a couple of years ago. Yeah.
James White, New England Patriots running back, solid.
Super Bowl champ. Yeah.
Yeah. Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, he had a good season.
Improvement. No, all right. Yeah, he's going to be excellent in the pros. He's with the Colts now, and then T.J. Watt's pretty. But now, what's interesting is Matt's list does not have Russell Wilson on it.
Oh, that's because I said him already. But yeah, I mean, we both have jerseys. Yeah, we're both huge Russell fans.
All right, Matt. All right.
I mean, there's all this talk about Russ possibly going to the Chicago Bears, and then my dad will be because right now I'm a Seahawks fan. So if Russ goes to the Bears, his family will be unified again.
His family will be unified again.
All of his kids will be Bears fans.
Right, and we can actually have Thanksgiving together. All right, you know what? We still have one more of the top 5 left. So what's number 1?
I met my husband there. Yeah. It was my second semester freshman year. And we are actually coming up on our 15th anniversary.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so cool. This is I'm 15 years as well with my wife.
Oh.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so we've been married for 4.5, but we've been together almost 15.
God bless. That's fantastic. And you guys made it all the way through college together too. You met freshman year too.
Mm-hmm. All the way through college, different times of long distance. He was a year older and he graduated before me. Moved to St. Louis before me to teach. Then did grad school out on the East Coast, and yeah, we made it through all that.
That's so cool. That's really cool. And then here you are in Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. Stephanie, this has been so much fun. I want to ask you, this has been a blast. I really appreciate you being here. I want to give you an opportunity to kind of leave us with a final thought, though. What's something people out there should be thinking about?
I think, I don't know if this is just like my personal experience or it's kind of like broader industry experience, but kind of like this hesitancy to like really network, to really benchmark with each other, and kind of like leaving it to vendors to do benchmarking, industry benchmarking for you. But I think with LinkedIn and now Clubhouse, which I think is really going to change the game, there's just like a different level of connection that we can make with each other to do benchmarking, to figure out what best practices are, to talk about like specific scenarios of how you're going to handle things, especially in this kind of post-COVID world that we're going to start to enter. And I think it's just so important for industry professionals and global mobility, which is such a tight-knit group, just to work together, benchmark, network, talk, and it just like in these informal settings like Clubhouse.
Yeah, and I'm just typing this up. Part of my typing here, I apologize, it's very rude. But I was just typing up a quick little banner to throw that up there because people may not know what you're talking about. But join the Global Mobility Group on Clubhouse. Stephanie and I were on there today with our friend Gabby, and shout out to Christine Caldwell and a whole bunch of people. Vinny, shout out to Vinny, shout out to a bunch of people. Some people on this actually as well. If you haven't done it already, do you want to really quick just tell people what Clubhouse is all about?
Well, I think you're a Clubhouse expert. I think Gabby's a Clubhouse expert. So I've only been on for a few weeks, so I'll tell you what I know. Like you can make a Clubhouse about like a broad topic, like ours is global mobility. And then from there, you can make different rooms. So if we wanted to talk about US immigration or like what the Biden administration's immigration bill is, or like back to office plan for relocation, or like benchmarking, like I want to make a room on benchmarking for biotech companies. So, from the broader Clubhouse, you can make smaller rooms just to kind of go in and see what's your peak area of interest and talk to other people who are interested in the same things.
You just named like 4 rooms that need to be created like now.
I sent you a message about the biotech one. So.
Yeah, you need to do that now. Like, so the benchmarking application I think is super key. So it's to Stephanie's point, Clubhouse is audio only. So if you don't know, you join it. You have to have an iPhone to join, which kind of sucks, but you have to have an iPhone. But if you do have an iPhone, you need an invitation. So if you need an invitation, you hit me up, you hit Stephanie up, you hit a whole bunch of people up that are on it that I named earlier. Vinny Valverde is also great with invitations. And then you can get on. And then once you're a member of the group, you can make your own rooms, to Stephanie's point. And the ones you just described are amazing. I think the benchmarking thing is so underrated. People are going to go crazy with that. I mean, imagine a big corporate benchmarking room where like it's not just confined to like one table, but you have 100 people, and then you can close it off. You can make it private if you want.
Mm-hmm. And to the point you made earlier on Clubhouse, nothing's recorded, so you don't have to worry about being formal. You don't have to worry about stuttering or kind of, saying something that you think maybe is dumb if you have social anxiety like I do. So I think it's really great. I think it's going to help a lot of people be able to put together better benefits for their program, and it's just going to help set a different standard for us.
Love it. Val wants an invite. Val, text me, or I might be out of invites actually. Text Stephanie. She might have an invite. I don't know. I got to go. The
Valerie, send me a message, and I have invites, so I can shoot you an invite.
This is great. Everybody was digging this. Beth McSkimmey, this was fun. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night. You too, Beth. Stephanie, again, this is awesome. I really, really, really appreciated you coming on. So glad that we made this happen. I can't thank you enough. This is wonderful.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ben. This was so much fun. Thank you so much.
And thanks everybody that tuned in today. Thanks everybody that tuned in today. Thank you for getting active in the comments. The show's always better when you are here with us. Don't forget to sign up for our 8 weeks of giving. Go to loveandreload.com/community. Enter to win. We're giving away 2 bottles of wine on Friday. Can't wait to do that. And we'll probably be talking a little bit more about Clubhouse on Friday. Also, go join that Global Mobility group on Clubhouse, and we can all chat some more. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great day. God bless. Thank you so much.